Hello, my friends, and welcome. Welcome to week 2 of our April poetry celebration. I'm so glad you're here. I'm delighted to be here too, and I'm very sorry this video is coming to you a bit late. I haven't been feeling well, but I'm feeling excited to share poems with you today, especially your poems. I do want to say, if you are only now jumping in, it's not too late. Please know how very welcome you are to participate in any way that makes sense to you. If you feel like just sending a poem one time during the month, that's lovely. If you want to send me poems every week, I love getting them. So thank you everyone who's been sending poems, and thank you to you who are thinking of sending them. It will be lovely to have them. So a bumper crop of beautiful poems came in over the week. I hope you know I want to read every single one of them aloud, but just so this video is in 8 hours, I have picked a few of them to share with you. Some of them are about love generally. Some of them are about spring, because who doesn't feel love in the spring? And some of them are about our spark from last week, which you might remember is right about a time when love made all the difference. So I love to start off with a poem by my friend Kathleen. This one harkens back a few weeks to thinking about the poetry of nature, and I just loved it. It's called The Natural Poets. The rain, the sun, the stones, the dirt. In unspoken words you exist, each season a chapter, each month a verse. The wind, the trees, the sand, the path. Through innate participation, we understand your prose and feel the rhythm, the need, the smile, the love, the friend. Cares reconciled and comforted. Here is a found language. Who knows the purpose? I love that. I love the word participation so much, and thinking about ourselves participating with nature in making poems. I also think this poem is really fascinating to me because the last lines, here is a found language, who knows the purpose? Now we can read that. I love bivalence or multivalence in poems, where you can get one line to do a couple of things. And these lines do a couple of things. One, they express a sort of humility in the face of nature, of saying, who knows the purpose? Here is a found language. Who knows the purpose? Which I think is honest. And then on the other hand, they also express a kind of faith. Here is a found language. Who knows the purpose? That language is itself a being who knows the purpose of itself. I think that's marvelous. Thank you, Kathleen. I love that. We can never be reminded too often, in my opinion, about the friendship of nature. I love it. My friend Skia wrote this beautiful poem about love. It's called Blessed. Why is it so hard to think about love? Sensitive, untilled heart soil, flowering with life's greatest joy, but also weeds of bitter memories, betrayals, and mother's chains forged by good intention. Love has entangled me with confusion, disloyalty, suffering, cognitive decline, cancer, and grief. I cannot walk away from doing heroic, ridiculous things year after year after year, expecting heartbreak every minute. I've heard every rose must have its thorns, yet I long to plant my heart with wishes and hope, to see the flowers once again. Grandmother told me that loss is the price of all good things. That is beautiful, Skia, and honest again. That's why I wanted to put them together, those two poems, because they let us see another side of this. They let us see more the completeness, more of the totality. It's all here. And I so appreciate, I just want to say, Skia, I so appreciate that impulse toward honesty. It's marvelous. It's true poetry. My darling niece, Caitlin, sent 2 poems that were inspired by a special poet that she met in Washington Square Park. They're both haikus, and I loved them. They're haikus for Lube, she says. You pay us in gold, street artist friend with swagger. We bowed down to you. Oh, that's so good. And the second one, artist of fervor. You reach poets long before, outdoor magician. Oh yes, it is so exciting to take a minute and be inspired by someone who is sharing their inspiration. Thank you for that, Caitlin. Betsy, my friend Betsy, made a wonderful poem about when love made all the difference, and it's called Jenny and my yarn hair tie. Jenny and my yarn hair tie. Adored by all of us, the youngest of 6, at 1 year old, Jenny was often the center of attention. In her high chair, rolled up to our dinner table, her enjoyment of peas and obsession with the stick of butter ignited roars of laughter from us, well beyond the control of Dad. She was about to walk, toddling from coffee table to rallying siblings, ready but not willing to go it alone. I wrapped my longest yarn hair tie around her waist. She held one end tightly fisted. I had the other end taut at first. Feeling secure, we began. Round the living room, back to the kitchen, Jenny following, all smiles and wonder, trusting me, trusting herself. I dropped my end of the tie, and on her own, Jenny walked. Bravo, Jenny, and bravo, Betsy. That is marvelous. That is a moment worth paying attention to and really celebrating through a poem like this. I just love it. I love that moment. I feel the wonder of it and the love. That was true love. So beautiful. My friend Deb, another beautiful singer, wrote this poem. It's called That Spring on the Hill. And I should say she accompanied it with a beautiful photograph of herself very, very young in her grandmother's garden. That spring on the hill. I can feel the sunshine that I'm squinting at in that picture, and the love in my grandma behind the camera, making the future by framing the past, when her son had his first vegetable garden and his first daughter, 3.5. I think we loved the dirt. That's so great. That's marvelous. My friend Mike, I'm now calling him Michiel, which is his Irish name, wrote a beautiful tribute. This is called I Love Those Who Helped Me Be Who I Am. This is a real love poem. From Miss Rogers in kindergarten to Mr. Sadowski in senior year physics, my teachers showed me how to learn and how to think for myself and put me on the path of knowledge. From the tiny library on Atlantic Street to the small library in Norfolk Downs to the large library in Quincy Square to the huge libraries at MIT, the librarians helped me seek out information. From the music classes with Ms. Goodhue and Mr. Goldstein and stage band and banjo instruction with Mr. Valancourt and all the Sam W. instructors, I learned to create and love music. So many people helped me become who I am, to think, to know, to be inquisitive, to own my ideas, to speak truth, to do what is right, to be kind and compassionate. So many, I can't thank them all, but I love them all. They made me into me. Mike, I love that so much. That would be a wonderful poem to write for any of us, is a poem of tribute to those people who made us the people we are. That's fantastic. I have a new friend called Miriam, and actually we met in Dana Wilde's PME club, and she wrote a poem. She said she loves the expression plod, plod, plodding along. And if I understand you, Miriam, what that expression means to you is taking those steps and keeping going. And so she was thinking about that expression and then was inspired to write a poem about that. And it's called What is Love by Miriam. What is love? Love is love. Love is joy. Love is song. Love is life. Life is love. Love is song, words, frequency and vibration, music, dance and elation. Love is joy. Laughter, fun and sharing, community, bliss and caring. Love is love. Excitement, awe and passion, curiosity, peace and elation. What is love? Love is love. Love is joy. Love is song. Love is life. Life is love. Plod, plod, plodding along. I love that. I love all the words in that. I love, again, those words are powerful. Elation, bliss, dance, music, caring, excitement, awe, and passion. All of those words are supercharged, aren't they? We feel them as soon as we say them. And I think that Miriam's personal language of loving the expression plod, plod, plodding along and feeling the love in that is also something we can pay attention to. What are those words and expressions that light up that power of love in you? Thank you, Miriam, for getting us thinking. Earlier, Tricia, who shared a poem that we had last week, she mentioned looking up the word love. And, when you look it up in the dictionary, you might find it quite interesting. It might get your wheels spinning. I'll leave it there. Another Tricia, a dear friend of mine, wrote a poem called Love, Meditation and Service. I pasted a poster to the wall of my college dorm that I carried with me to each room I lived in there until I graduated. It was the picture of a small girl holding a tiny yellow chick in her palm, and typed out upon it in soft scripted letters were the words, "The smallest good deed is better than the grandest good intention." The photo never really made much sense to me. It didn't seem to match the words, but I took that little saying to heart and have tried every day of my life since that time to make it true. Again, as an adult, I saw this same sentiment set forth in a little story about a man on a beach throwing starfish stranded on the sand back into the surf to save them. Someone approaches him asking why he is doing this and claims that it is a futile act. Why does he waste his time when surely he cannot save them all? Thus his actions don't matter. The man responds, "It matters to this one." It's true, that the love of every living being, no matter how seemingly slight or how it is given, can make all the difference. The inspiration for loving is all around us, and each of us can be the conduit of such service. It is not for us to judge love's worth to those who receive it. It is only the necessity of a loving heart to willingly give it away. Hear, hear, my friend, that is beautiful and important. Important. No act of love is too small. It matters to this one. Thank you for that. I received a very grand love poem from Dan, a marvelous poet and carver and amazing artist. And his poem is called Blessings of Shiva. And in the poem, it's very long, and it's very, if you read this whole poem, you would feel that you had visited a temple in India, is how I'll say. Dan very graciously allowed me to choose an excerpt to read with you, and I've chosen the end of this. So the speaker of the poem has been experiencing the temple of Shiva and has been feeling the awe and the wonder and the mystery and the reverence of that experience. So this is from Blessings of Shiva by Dan. From darkness of sanctuary, grandmother sings in sonorous, soulful Tamil, a song that attunes us to mystery. Priestly Sanskrit whisperings evoke a melodic counterpoint. Music from the inexpressible in archaic murmurings remind us of our divine origins. We are all children of God. So purified, if only we stay on the edge of a razor where we strive to stride into the light of living. All of living is Shiva, yet all of living is illusion, light and illusion. Lord Shiva binds us in his blessing to the miracle of what life is. Life is pain, and life is joy, but most of all, life is love. That's beautiful. And don't you see the line? I find it very moving to feel that all of us have been thinking about love these couple of weeks, and I see lines of thought and feeling running between all of these poems. Do you? That to me is something that is very exciting. And also comforting in a way, invigorating. Thank you all for these. My dear friend Cynthia wrote a beautiful poem of spring, and it's called Love Spring. And isn't that a wonderful title? Love Spring. Up it pushes, up through soil, through dark earth, rich, teeming with life. Magic. Crocus tete-a-tete, and something an unknown, unapologetically moving forward as if by choice. I never tire of this love of spring, of new growth, new ideas, new friends, and like trees appear to my eye, to honor the old and welcome new. That is beautiful. There it is right there. I love crocus tete-a-tete and something, an unknown, unapologetically moving forward as if by choice. Yes, that marvelous force of spring coming into our world. Thank you for that, Cynthia. It's beautiful. Finally, one more from our community. And again, I received so many, and I would love to read them all. I have a new friend, Dee, also in the PME club, and I just loved this. She actually used the word uprising in a post, and I said, Dee, that would make a great poem. And so she made it. Uprising, alive, life and learning to drive, flowing strong on the path where I belong, rising up to find my tribe, our cups overflowing, together we thrive. Marvelous, Dee. I feel it. I feel the energy in it. And because of your poem, I'm going to read a poem I wrote myself this week. And Dee has us with our cups, and my poem is called Hold Out Your Cup. It was inspired by a time of hearing laughter and love and friendship and fellowship in another room, and feeling that actually that love was accessible to me, even though I was separate from it, technically. Hold out your cup. Even on the edge of love, the laughter and gladness happening in another room. Down the street, in a different town entirely, if you hold out your cup, you can reach the spout. Learn the trick of this, the leaning toward heat and inclining toward light, and right away you've left the edge. The center of love is always centered wherever you reach for the spout. Love is always available to us. So thank you, everybody. Now, because this video is coming to you late, I'd like to give you a little bit more time. So poems, if you will, send the poems by Sunday, April 14th, 5 o'clock. And if you will, again, thank you so much for no attachments. That just saved me a little bit of time. Just paste them right into your email. Again, 1 or 7, whatever you like. I'm so happy to receive them. Thank you for sending them. So again, we have, this week I just wanted to show you again what's going on in here in my notebook. More, just more mess. And I wanted to tell you a little story about, you know, the notebooks that we choose often really affect the poems we write. Have you found that? I wrote that little poem, Hold Out Your Cup, in a small notebook that was in my pocketbook. And it's a small poem. I don't think it needs to be bigger. And I think there's room for all sizes of poems. But I'm really enjoying the spaciousness of this size of this Jumping Fox design notebook. I feel I may be a little bit more ambitious because I have a little bigger notebook to work in. I don't know about you, but all of my poems, wherever I write, I'd say 90% of my poems start in a notebook. Maybe 95%, because I just love to write by hand. And eventually they all need to be copied down on bigger paper so that I can really see them. And then eventually I type them in to my laptop. But I'm just finding, I'm really liking the size of this notebook. I also like it's bendy. Anyways, just it's a great tool. And again, I'm grateful to Jumping Fox Design for continuing to make tools that really serve writers, and also for very graciously sponsoring us. We are lucky. They've been so good to us. Thank you, Jumping Fox. And I wanted to show you, this is Dana Wilde. This is her awesome book. Can you see this? Train Your Brain. I cannot recommend it highly enough. So Dana is also sponsoring our time, our celebration, and we are going to have gift cards from Amazon for some lucky winners. So you may enjoy this. If you want to think about thinking and what you're thinking, you might enjoy it. I loved it. I have sort of a treat for you this week. I teach singing, and I am very lucky to get to teach Irish singing in Irish. And a number of the singers and I have been really deep into a poem that became a song by we'll call him 19th century poet Anthony o Raiftearaí. So Anthony o Raiftearaí, we're not really sure, I think he was born in 1779. Most of the usual dates put him 1779 to 1835. He was an Irish speaker. He was a bard, a wandering bard. He was born in County Mayo, one of 9 kids. And I'm sad to tell you that when he was, I don't remember, he was about 10 or 11, his family all came down with smallpox, and 8 of the 9 children died. And Anthony was the survivor, but he lost his sight. And he was quite a remarkable human being. He was a fiddle player and a poet, and he walked all through, especially he was from Mayo, so he would get down into Galway, and his father's people were from Sligo, which is sort of in the middle there. And so kind of think of him in the west and the northwest of Ireland, walking around and playing music and singing to people and sharing poems. So I wanted to share just the beginning of this wonderful poem it's called Ciallaín. And there are different ideas about why Anthony made this poem. Some say that it was part of a poem to praise a place. And the place that he was praising is his hometown of Ciallaín in County Mayo. So I'm going to actually say it for you in Irish, and then I'll just translate a little bit of it for you. And then there's a poem that will give us our spark, also by Anthony. Anish Chachtanari, be an lágó chun sínú. Is taréis na féile bríide ar dói mé ma cheol, ó chur mé ma cheannaí ní chonnói mé híche, go seasaí mé síos i lár chuntaí wio. Ag glár chanja wuris a bheas mé an chéadíche, is im malatíh híste a hasús mé gól. Go cuilte mach rachu go neanú cuirt vísa an, I wagas gavíle do bhélan a hawór. So you can hear the strong stress and rhyme, right, at the rhythm of this poem. So now comes the spring and the day will be getting longer. And after St. Bridget's Day, I'll raise my sail. I love that so much. Ar dói mé ma cheol, I will raise my sail. Oh, it came into my mind that I couldn't survive until I stood in the midst of County Mayo. I glár chanja wuris, I'll be the first night, and in Imala, in this town called Bala, just outside it, I'll commence my drinking. And I will go to Cultchamach, and I will make a month of visit there, nearly about 2 miles from Bélan-na-Hawór. Now, he goes on to praise so much about, he praises the natural life of this community. He praises, he even has a wonderful line where he praises Look Janta Pochin gan license the Yilan, the people who make pochin without buying a license, which I love. You know, he talks about being krutnak is kirka, fas orna is lianan. So there's all these wonderful crops and rye, and there is bread flour, and there's great people there to who are playing and sporting. But one of the most beautiful lines in this poem, he says, Is da menche mahasu e gartlar machini, jamoachanishjim is venlarishog. And if I could be in the midst, a gartlar, which is like the very center of my people, jamoachanishjim, the age would fall from me, is venlarishog, and I would again be young. So this is a love poem to a place. And I just love it so much. I love the way it feels. I love that he's taking the time to notice everything about this place. Now, I want to share with you, this is for anybody learning Irish, Mise Raiftearaí and Fíodóir Focal. This is a fantastic book. Tadgh Dhonnagáin is the author. I'll put this in the comments. So Mise Raiftearaí means I am Raiftearaí, and then the subtitle is The Weaver of Words. Probably the most famous poem that's attributed to Raiftearaí, and I'm going to put on my glasses for this, is this little poem. And none of Raiftearaí's poems were written down in his lifetime. They were all collected orally by people who remembered them. Can you imagine? People who paid attention. So this man, so as I say, he was, here's me in the glasses. He was, born in the 18th century, lived into the 19th century. And in the later 19th century, a man wrote to the editor of an Irish language journal. And he says, I'm just translating, I'm sending you this little bit, Mar de hula me Raiftearaí at Jack Dowsett, because I heard Raiftearaí at a dance house in Acharoshi Shanam Kyo, where he was playing music. Giafri Dinye Kehe and Kyotor, Dragger Raiftearaí. So someone asked who was the musician, and Raiftearaí answered. Okay, here it is in Irish, then I'll translate it. Mise Raiftearaí and Filia, Lan Dochish agus Gra, Le Sulaf gan Solas Cunis gan Cra. Gol sheer ma ashter la solas ma chrí, fan agus tuirseach go déirí na slí. Támé anish agus ma ai wala, es shenam ceol de fócaí follow. So I'm Raiftearaí the poet, full of hope and love. My eyes without sight, without light. Cunis gan chra, silence without torment, without upset. Going west on my journey with the light of my heart, tired and weary to the end of the road. I am now Agus so tamanish I am now, and my face to the wall. Now, Séamus Heaney, when he translated this, because we're not really sure, Bala means a wall, and it also means Bala is a village, and that is actually a village name all over Ireland. So my face, Séamus translates this as facing Bala, the village. But, well, let me tell you the rest before I get into all that. So here's me now, my face to the wall, playing music to empty pockets. Now, I find this really interesting. So I get why Séamus, and let me just show you this because it's really marvelous. This is, if anybody's interested, this is the translations of Séamus Heaney. And have I got this here? Yes. I'm going to read you his translation because it's a lot better than my ad hoc one. I am Raiftearaí the poet, full of hope and love. My eyes without eyesight, my spirit untroubled. Tramping west by the light of my heart, worn down, worn out to the end of the road. Take a look at me now, facing for Bala, playing the fiddle to empty pockets. So the fiddle is not even really in there, but Séamus knows that Raiftearaí was a fiddler, and so he includes the fiddle. So the thing about Bala, Séamus has chosen the town. Now, those of us who are singers know that the traditional posture for a singer was toward the wall. That was an act of humility. So here too, just as we began our talk today with Kathleen's poem that has bivalence, when I mentioned about the language and who knows the purpose, here again, Raiftearaí's poem can be read in many ways, just as some of you know that Emily Dickinson's poems, and she did this deliberately, can be read in multiple ways because she included sort of a key and multiple words. So if you include this word, you'll read it this way. If you include a different word, I find that really exciting. I don't need to nail things down. I love the multivalence, the potential for different readings that we find in these poems. I hope you've enjoyed meeting Anthony Raiftearaí. Your spark comes from him. Misha Raiftearaí and Filia Lan Dóchis Slan Gra. I'm Raiftearaí, the poet, full of love and hope. Full of hope and love. I'd love for you to write a poem, if you're inclined, saying, I'd like you to claim this. I am, your name, the poet, full of, you choose X and Y. Maybe one of them will be love if you want to. Complete this as a poem, as a way of loving yourself as a poem, as a poet. I see in Raiftearaí's poem that a lot of my life, I've been reading that poem for a couple of decades at least, and I've paid maybe too much attention to the poki falu, the empty pockets. And I think now that I know that Raiftearaí was at a dance and people were asking who was the musician, I now see the pride in this poem. And that's what I kind of want that for all of us. I want us to see the pride, justifiable pride, in standing up as a poet in this world, giving the gift of poetry. I think Raiftearaí is actually sort of gently poking the people that he's playing for that day. And I think he's enjoying himself as a poet, and that's what I wanted to invite all of us to do, if you like to. So again, I am, your name, the poet, full of whatever and whatever. Take it away. Raiftearaí's made 3 little quatrains, that's what his poem is, but you go as far as you like. See what happens. And then I thought, as a dare, these poems that I've shared with you today are gathered up in oral tradition, and my dare to you is memorize a poem. I think it is really a gift to carry a poem in your mind and heart. And it doesn't, a haiku will do, right? It doesn't have to be a long poem, and it can be even just a part of a poem that you find. I can't tell you the number of times I think of Tennyson's poem Ulysses, and I think, though much is taken, much abides. Just that line, you know, as you get older, you know, as Skia said in her poem, much is taken, but much abides. So see how that lands for you. So you've got your spark and you've got your dare. And please, again, I'd love, you know, I love your comments on these videos as well. So please don't be shy. I've even received a poem in one of these comments, and I love that. Write a little note. You know, we're making this together, and it really feels wonderful to feel the community of this. So please, again, subscribe if you haven't. It's so nice. Then you'll know when the video comes. Like the video, that makes it more likely that somebody else will see it, and it also just gives me heart. So thank you for all of that. So again, poems are, if you will, if you'd like to send poems, by Sunday this week. And next week, the video, Lakujije, with God's help, will come out on the Tuesday. On the Monday, just to say, I will be with many 7th graders at a school in New Hampshire, helping them make some poems. So that video will come out on Tuesday, and then I hope after that we'll be back on track. So thank you again, everybody. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your poems. Thank you for your good wishes. Thank you, everybody who wrote to wish me well in getting better. I truly appreciate it. So I'm wishing you all a wonderful week, writing poems, reading poems, experiencing poems, and celebrating poetry. Thank you all. I'll see you next week.